The story of this game came on the line of scrimmage where the Eagles won decisively on both sides of the football. The defensive line, they dominated in the first half and changed the outcome of this game early on. And offensively, from start to finish, created great holes for all of these ball carriers to get home for touchdowns. We're going to get into that here in the opening of our All-22 review. Hello, Eagles fans. Welcome in. I'm Fran Duffy, and yes, we're going to take a look back at the Eagles' decisive win. It was never a doubt, really, especially when you get to the second half, what they were able to do here to go for their second Super Bowl in 6 seasons. We're going to start, again, on the offensive side of the football, where the offensive line dominant. And that was honestly something that stood out to me going back and rewatching the 2017 NFC title game against the Minnesota Vikings. What the Eagles were able to do in that game, controlling the line of scrimmage on the ground, that's exactly what carried through to this one against San Francisco. Here are some of my favorite blocks, some devastating double teams up front from this offensive line. I thought the Eagles' offensive front was dominant in this game against San Francisco, and there were some reps where you just see the double teams at the point of attack. Play side, backside. Look at the movement on the San Francisco defensive tackles. This is one of the best run defenses in the league, and the Eagles moved them time and time again here. Look at this backside rep from Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata here as they completely erase that backside defensive tackle. Look at all the space that Miles Sanders has to get downhill and plunge forward for a first down. A little bit later here, a play side double team on Javon Kinlaw, former first-round pick, Jason Kelce, Landon Dickerson. Again, look at all of the space for Miles Sanders to be able to work vertically downhill. He's able to get down for a nice gain on first down. You get another rep here, and again, this just happened time and time again where the Eagles were able to create some movement at the point of attack. These double teams were devastating against the San Francisco 49ers. It was one of the takeaways the last time the Eagles won an NFC title game against the Minnesota Vikings, and it stood out once again here in this one against San Francisco. So 4 rushing touchdowns, a record here for this Eagles franchise in the postseason. And we're going to take a look at another one of them here in this clip where not only do we see the dominance on the play side on the offensive line, we see that aspect of it, but also the mind games that the Eagles are able to play schematically with defenses on the backside of these runs. 2 great examples, all from one touchdown drive. Let's take a look at some of the things that the Eagles offense can do to put defenses in a blender. Most pass games make you defend all 53 yards of width of a football field, but the Eagles, they do that with the run game and the RPO run game. Jalen Hurts is in the shotgun. You got Kenny Gainwell back there, and these RPOs, they cut the defense in half because half the defense has to respond. They have to react to the threat of the screen, the threat of the quarterback run, and now you've got the running back going out the front side for a huge play, 17 yards there to pick up a first down. A couple plays later, you get down into the red zone on the 13-yard line. Same kind of thing. You've got, again, the tight end working to the front side, a little bubble screen. You have the threat of the quarterback run. Half the 49ers defense has to respect that threat on the backside of this play. And you've got Jason Kelce out in front. Miles Sanders, he takes off for a touchdown. Now, it looks all the same from a pass game standpoint, but how do the Eagles handle these up front along the offensive line? Well, depending on the front, that's going to dictate how the Eagles are going to surface these blocks. And that's something you see here on this play. Go back to the Kenny Gainwell run. You have a 3 technique here from the San Francisco 49ers. It's 3 versus 3. How are they going to handle this? Well, it's going to be a straight double team. Look at the movement from Jason Kelce and Landon Dickerson. They get Kinlaw off his spot. Jason Kelce gets up to the second level, and you spring Gainwell for a first down. Then you go to that play, again, the touchdown run from Miles Sanders. This time, it's against a tighter 2-eye technique, a nose tackle. So this front is going to be handled a little bit differently from the Eagles. It's still 3v3, but you get the pin down by Landon Dickerson. You get the kick out from Mailata. You get Kelce pulling up to the second level. They're leveraging the skill sets of all of their best players. Jason Kelce on the move. It would have been a tough block for him to get that nose tackle. Instead, he's going to loop around. He gets to the play side backer, and Sanders gets in for a touchdown. The Eagles make you defend every single blade of grass with this run game. It's one of the strengths of this offense. And the offense got started here on the opening drive. We already saw the Miles Sanders touchdown run on that opening drive, but that was set up by a 4th down conversion by the Eagles here. It was 4th and 3, 29 yards to DeVonta Smith down the left sideline. An outstanding effort from the second-year wide receiver, but also an extremely heads-up play. Let's get into why. One of the biggest plays in the game happened on the opening drive. It's 4th and 3. DeVonta Smith is in the slot here in an empty set. Kenny Gainwell comes in motion from left to right, and San Francisco gives the Eagles and Jalen Hurts a look that it might be zone coverage. They just bumped the linebacker out, but this is well disguised as actually man-to-man coverage. Warner locks up Kenny Gainwell. It turns into a scramble situation, and Jalen Hurts trusts DeVonta Smith to go make a play. DeVonta makes an amazing attempt at this football. Goes up with one hand, outstanding body control, finishes at the catch point. Now, replays later showed that this ball was dislodged on the ground, but watch DeVonta Smith because the play, he just made an outstanding catch, but the play doesn't end for him there. He realizes, hey, you know what? I may not have caught that ball. We got to go hurry up here. The situational football, the football IQ from DeVonta Smith to come out and call for hurry up on this play helped save the drive for the Eagles. They stay on the field. They score 2 plays later. Outstanding play there from DeVonta Smith in all areas. Now we transition over to the defensive side of the football where I mentioned it. The defensive line from the jump dominated the San Francisco offensive front. And you got to start with Haason Reddick. 3.5 sacks here in the postseason for Reddick. That set a team record for the most sacks from an individual player in a playoff run. And we still have one game left to go, one big game left to go here for this Eagles defense. But let's take a look at Haason Reddick where he impacted not just the quarterback, but the run game of San Francisco as well. Here are 3 of my favorite reps from number 7. The pivotal play of this game was this first drive sack from Haason Reddick. It ended the first drive of the game for San Francisco. It's play action with some orbit motion, and they're hoping that with that eye candy in the backfield, that this tight end can hold up one-on-one with Haason Reddick. Bad news for the offense. Gets home, attacks the throwing arm. He does it better than anybody in football. Gets the ball up in the air, and the Eagles recover, and he knocks Brock Purdy out of this football game. Completely changes the scope of this game here for the Eagles defense. Very next drive, they do it again. They try this time with a tight end, George Kittle, coming across the formation, but Reddick has just too much grass to be able to eat up. Off this play-action fake, he's able to beat the block from George Kittle coming across the formation. Reddick gets home for his second sack of the day. He's got 3.5 sacks so far in the playoffs, but it's not just what he does as a pass rusher. Here against the run, he takes 2 on the perimeter. He does this as well as anybody off the edge here in the NFL this season. He forces the cutback. Josh Sweat's there for the TFL. Haason Reddick, run game, pass game, does not matter. He's been one of the most impactful defensive players in the entire NFL this season, and that has continued here into the playoffs. 19.5 sacks in 19 games for Haason Reddick as an Eagle. Just an outstanding start to his career here in the city of brotherly love. Let's also talk about one of his line mates, Jayvon Hargrave. I thought he really stood out as well. He got a sack of his own in this game in the first half, but was really stout against the run. I could have found a number of clips for a bunch of those guys along the defensive line. Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. But I want to focus here on number 97. Jayvon Hargrave really stood out against San Francisco. I thought Jayvon Hargrave really stood out against the San Francisco 49ers. You see him here early on as a 2-eye technique where he's going to cross the face of the left guard. He wins with that second step. We talked about this earlier in the season. Hargrave does this as well as anybody. He's able to clear the pads of the left guard, get into the backfield, and get home for a sack of Josh Johnson. Outstanding rush there from Hargrave to pick up the sack. A little bit later, you're going to see him lined up as a 3 technique outside the guard. Now, this time, he's going to show that inside step as if he's going to cross the face, but he works back into the B gap. He again clears the hands of the guard, gets upfield. He's able to clear that upfield shoulder and get home for a pressure of quarterback Josh Johnson this time. He gets home, forces an incomplete pass. Outstanding job there from Hargrave in the pass game. But in this game, it was not just about defending the pass. It was about stopping the run as well. Look at how Hargrave stays square to the line of scrimmage. He shows off his light feet, his lateral quickness, his hand usage, and gets home for a tackle. Number 97, Jayvon Hargrave, outstanding against San Francisco. One last player up front I want to give some love to, and it's a guy that has really just flashed week after week after week in the second half of the season, and that is second-year defensive tackle Milton Williams. Number 93 has shown up in the pass game and in the run game, pursuit, screen plays, point of attack in the run game. You name it, number 93 has shown up. I wanted to give some love here to Milton Williams with what he did against the 49ers. I loved watching Milton Williams play against the 49ers on Sunday. You watch him here as a tight 2-eye technique, the leverage off the ball, he gets some instant penetration and then chases the play down. This is early on in the game. Great stuff there from the second-year defensive tackle. Later, similar kind of play. Look at how much range he has in the run game, tracking down some of these perimeter runs. You watch him here against the pass. He's able to cross face of the guard and get home for a nice pressure of quarterback Josh Johnson. Gets a hit on the quarterback there on that throw to the flat. Milton Williams showed up time and time again in this game against the run and the pass. There's no question that the 49ers were playing with essentially a hand tied behind their back in this game. After the injury to Brock Purdy early on in the opening drive, and then Josh Johnson's injury later in the game, they had to focus in on the run game, which the Eagles were already kind of honed in on stopping the run going into this matchup to begin with. Well, everybody did a really good job of corralling Christian McCaffrey and the rest of those running backs there, really limiting what San Francisco could do on the ground. And they tried to utilize a number of players as ball carriers in this game. So, one area of the Eagles' defense that really stood out in my eyes, the defensive backs. They showed up a number of times to force the ball back inside. They made plays themselves in some critical situations as well. Let's take a look at some of the secondary players and how they showed up against the rushing attack of San Francisco. When you're going to stop a run game like San Francisco's, you need all 11 guys on defense, and I thought the back seven in the secondary did a great job. You see here early in the game, Darius Slay has to take on Trent Williams in the hole, does a nice job defeating that block, forcing Deebo Samuel to stop his feet, and then his help comes from the backside in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You go a little bit later in the game, you see Darius Slay show up again on another end around to Deebo Samuel, where he's got to take on a lead block, flashes color to the outside, and forces Deebo back in. So look at those green jerseys there. They're all there to help. Darius Slay doing his job there on the outside, and Ndamukong Suh there to finish up the pile on Deebo Samuel. Earlier on from that play, you've got Avonte Maddox, 4th and 2. Look how quickly he recognizes that run's coming. That pulls the blocker off of Fletcher Cox. Maddox makes contact in the backfield, and then number 91 is there to clean up. That play all starts with Avonte Maddox's play recognition skills as a stacked player in the box. And then the final play defensively on this game, another end around, and Reed Blankenship plays this perfectly in the alley. Great angle, great pacing, makes the tackle one-on-one on Deebo Samuel, gets the ball on the ground, and then has the wherewithal to jump on it. Doesn't matter anyway, it's a 4th down play, and he does a great job of finishing in the hole. The DBs did a great job against the run for the most part in this game on Sunday. So the Eagles advance to Super Bowl 57. We're going to be breaking it all down here a couple weeks from now on the All-22 review to get ready for that matchup, Eagles-Chiefs. Make sure you subscribe to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, wherever podcasts can be found, and we will have 2 episodes of Eagles Game Plan to get you ready for this game in a couple weeks. Make sure you stay tuned for that on the Eagles YouTube channel and wherever you get your Eagles video content.